Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Harrison's Garage. I'm Harrison and today we're going to be installing a train horn. Yeah, I know it's unnecessary, but something I've wanted to do for a while, and since I already have the air tank, compressor and everything installed on the truck as part of the lift kit, the Kelderman lift, it's really at this point quite easy to just take that extra step and put the train horn on. I've already got the air tanks plumbed and ready to go. So what I did was I picked up this powder coated straight from Kelderman powder coated train horn mount, and it is compatible with their 3H compressor air box, so it should just bolt right up. It came pre-powder coated in black, just like this. They packaged it really well. It had this really fat closed foam cell protection in there. And of course we've got our train horn. This is from Hornblasters. I think it's on sale right now. I don't know how long it'll last, but this one was on sale like 90 bucks off or something like that. This is the Shocker XL, pretty standard. I just got the horn. I did not opt for any of the compressor lines or any of that just because I don't need it. So we're gonna go through, pull out each of these and see how it looks. Okay, I've cleared off the workbench a little bit, gotten rid of the boxes, and set up 3 of these 4 horns. I thought I'd show you what adding this horn to the mount looks like. It's pretty simple. You've got basically 2 rods. This is the inlet for the air, and this is just a I don't know, bolt threaded rod, really threaded insert. It's a nylock nut on this end, which is 3/8. Get it started, and then this end, the horn end, I guess, comes with 2 washers, and this is just a thin sort of nut, if you will, and then 1 washer on this end. Since there's 2 washers, make sure you keep one of them on there. Lift this up, and then locate your holes. Go and set it down. Place your washer on top. Thread your nylock nut. Tighten it down, and then tighten down the other side. Now you'll have the 4 horns mounted to the bracket, and this bracket again will mount or bolt directly up to the Kelderman 3H system. Okay, now that we have our horns tightened down on the mount, next step is to get our solenoid valve ready. And there's a one-way valve, really. It's got a really obvious arrow. This is the inlet, this is the outlet. This whole piece comes like this. You just have to screw it in and then tighten it down with a wrench. Same deal with this side. You've got another one to screw into a compressor tank or air tank bung. It's another 1/2 inch line. The one thing I didn't count on was how big the diameter is on this guy. It's like 0.8 inches. I think 0.75 is probably the true external diameter. But including the threads was like 0.8 on my calipers. And I don't believe I have a bung on my tanks that are this big, so I'm gonna have to look at finding probably a different valve, a different adapter to fit that 1/2 inch airline other than this one. Maybe get a reducer or something on this. Anyway, put this one in, tighten it down. This will be the inlet, this will be the outlet. If you switch this around, you're going to have a leak in your tank, so make sure you don't do that. And obviously this is the wiring. Just hook up red to hot and black to ground, and you'll be good to go. Next thing we're going to do is attach the Teflon tape, and these are the elbow fittings, if you will. that are going to go on each of these 4. So I'll do one and then do the other 3 off camera. You don't need to see them all. And get this started. Interesting yellow Teflon tape. Should be fine though, because it's a horn. It's not going to have to seal air forever if it doesn't work. So as long as it sends most of the air through, it'll be all right. Now when you're wrapping these, bear in mind the direction which you're going to be screwing this down on. You don't want to have the tape go into the inner diameter here. You just want to wrap around in the direction that you're going to be screwing down the fittings, and just a couple times around should be fine. And screw this down on top, and do it until it's good and tight, and then maybe another quarter turn. We got clearance there. There we go. So I think I'll fit that just kind of angled backwards for now. We'll see how I want it pointed. But I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3 off camera, and then come back with you for the next step. Okay, I've gotten these guys sort of attached to the fittings here and all kind of angled. They're pretty free floating here. They just rotate. All kind of angled in a way that will work perfectly for running these. Now, one thing I did off camera was clip the 5/16 tubing. You are meant to cut this such that each of these tubes are exactly the same length, which is why there's, I guess, so much extra tube here when you don't need it that long. The reason being, you want the air to arrive at each of the horns at the same time. If they're different lengths, the shorter tube will obviously deliver the air faster. This one would go off before the other ones. So that is the reason they want this all to be equal length. It will essentially deliver the air all at once and make that sound as it's intended to be designed for, I guess. So the next thing I'm going to do is mount up this solenoid to my bracket. Now it looks like there's 2 different spots. I can either go low with it here or up higher. I was playing around last night under the truck with this bracket and found that if I mount the solenoid on these top 2 holes, this solenoid here will interfere with the air tank itself. So I'm going to mount it down here, and true sort of Kelderman fashion, no instructions and no bolts. Anybody familiar with the Kelderman lifts know the instructions are pretty abysmal, and despite saying they've included all the bolts in their checklist, there's stuff missing. So no hardware came with this at all. So I had to go out and find some hardware to attach this end of the bracket to the underside of the truck, as well as attach this solenoid to this bracket. So you really are only getting the bracket. So I went out today to Ace and found this set of M8 1/4" fine thread bolt and nut and washer set, and ended up doing 5/16 here to mount up here. So I'm going to go ahead, attach this solenoid here. I will probably attach this to the underside of the truck tonight. What I will not be doing is finishing this install and connecting this hose, because I am still in need of a 1/4" male to 1/2" female NPD reducer, so I can plug this into the tank, which I will have to order that part and finish this install up probably in a week or so my time, but for you guys it'll be in the next shot here. Okay guys, I decided to go ahead and mount the horns themselves. There's really not much to this. I didn't film it because, and I know that's kind of atypical for me, but it just required 2 hands and one of my legs to kind of keep it up in the air and balanced without having any kind of temporary supports in here. But I will go ahead and show you where it mounts to if you also have the Kelderman kit up in here. This is this sort of dirtier box here is the mounting bracket that has been welded to sort of the whole kit here up in here. This bracket
welded up top, and that holds the compressor, the 3H compressor for the coloring kit. You essentially undo this bolt and the corresponding nut over here, and then on the other side, same bracket up there, you undo this bolt and corresponding nut. Because it also has the bolt and nut up top there and there and right up here, the housing for the compressor doesn't go anywhere. The compressor doesn't fall on you, doesn't move at all. So you just undo those two bolts, take them out, and that is one of the, this is one corner for the horn mount, and then as you can see here, this is the other corner. I've obviously mounted the horn, so I just put the bolts back in, tighten them back down. I'm gonna go ahead and scoot to the other side of the horn, sort of like the rear end of the truck, and show you where the other end of the mounting occurs. Okay, so now you kind of see the horn end. Here's the Kelderman mount, the Circle K logo here. And up top, this is, again, I'll just come up in here and show you. Where I'm mounting to on both sides here, that bracket is, again, part of this whole 3H compressor system that was already here as part of the lift. So this really is designed to work with the 3H bracket. So here's the bolt and corresponding nut over and above it. Same deal over here. And that's really all there is to it. It's just those 4 bolts and nuts, and you get the whole system mounted and in place. The only thing that will be left to do now is to connect the 1/2-inch airline here via the 1/2-inch hose, run it back around all that mess, and up into the bung on the air tank there. Now my current predicament is that bung is 1/4-inch NPT, and the kit has a bung that comes with a 1/2-inch NPT. So I have ordered a 1/4-inch to 1/2-inch NPT reducer. Once that arrives, I can go ahead and get this fully plumbed. And the final step will be to wire this up. Now for me, I'm just going to use the wires that I ran here already. So I've basically put some accessory wires in this sleeve. Now this one is rock lights, this one is underglow. I believe I give myself a little extra. This here is the train horn, so I'll pull that back and then pop it out of this sleeve here. And yeah, I'm definitely going to drop it behind this tank because it'll just neatly fit right up in here. So I'll drop it out here, make my connection here, and then zip tie it back up behind this tank. You really won't even see it. And the black wire, I'll just have to find a good spot on the chassis to make chassis ground, and we'll be done, and we can test this out. Okay, it is a new day for me. Last I left off, we just got the horns mounted and not yet plumbed. The reason being is the bung on my compressor tank, air tank, is not a 1/2-inch NPT like this one. It is a 1/4-inch NPT, which 1/4-inch internal diameter. It's this outer thread area measures about 1/2. This is a 1/2-inch NPT inner and measures about 3/4 on the external. In terms of how you refer to them, this is my tank has a 1/4 bung. The kit came with a 1/2-inch NPT male thread. So in order to get this to work, I've ordered a 1/4 male to 1/4 female NPT elbow, just because I don't have a lot of vertical clearance between the tank and the underside of the truck bed. A adapter 1/4 NPT to 1/2 NPT that will of course thread in like so, and I guess this will then allow me to adapt the
1/2 NPT to the 1/4 tank bung. And then the air hose will simply run in like so. One thing I do want to mention before we get started tonight is that these fittings will all be connected directly to the tank before the actuator valve or actuator solenoid on the shocker train horn. So all of these fittings will be constantly exposed to the tank pressure, which is 150 psi. So unlike the fittings on the after the valve side or after the solenoid in the horn setup, these are always going to be exposed to that pressure. And unless I want to have a constant leak in the tank, I need to make sure these are truly airtight. So in order to do that, I have some pipe thread tape as well as thread sealer or pipe dope. So I'm going to start with essentially just getting these threaded together, these two threaded together here, and then this one threaded in here on the bench, and then run over to the tank and then do this final fitting under the truck. Just kind of keep as much work as possible up here where it's more comfortable. Okay guys, I've got the fitting mounted to the tank. Zoom in a little bit for you there. You should now, there you go. You can see the fitting is pointed towards the front of the truck. The hardest part about this was getting in there with a wrench. There's not a lot of room to work, and obviously a square sort of cubed fitting, if you will, only has 4 sides, not 6 like a normal hex nut. So there's fewer possible angles to tighten it from, but I eventually got it done. And then you'll also see the 1/2-inch airline stuffed in there. The other end is still hanging. Show you where it's running from. So it comes from the tank over there. Just kind of tucked it up over some of the factory wiring harnesses. And it's going to be put into here. So really it's just a matter of cutting it to length, and it's a push connect. So all you got to do is push it in, and that'll do it. Okay, I've gotten the airline cut and connected. Again, it's just a push to connect. There's nothing special you do here, you just slide it in. If you're wondering if it's connected properly, just give it a tug. There's barbs inside this fitting that prevent it from falling out, popping back out. So you should be good to go there. All right, as I was filming that, I realized I didn't have any pipe dope here. I just had the Teflon tape. This fitting is of course on the tank side of the solenoid, so it's going to be exposed to that pressure 24/7. So I took this back out. To remove a push to connect fitting, you just push the gray portion in while pulling on the hose, and this will pop right back out. Of course, got it back in there now. Barbs are holding it in place. So what I did was I pulled this one out, put the I guess the pipe dope thread seal on there, tighten it back down. I'm going to give this 24 hours or thereabout for this to dry. The thread seal says any system over 100 psi to let this dry for 24 hours before you pressurize it. So tomorrow I'm going to come back out, work on the wiring, and then we should be able to give this a test sometime tomorrow evening. Okay guys, it is the next day and I'm working on the connections now. So starting off, this is the sort of solenoid, got the hot, the ground. This is my wire that runs under the hood to the auxiliary switch. I've just connected it using my, I use these types of connectors for all the connections I make, or almost all of them. It's got a heat shrink with a solder sort of band in there. And then I'm going to be coming over that with this red heat shrink to weatherproof everything.
I've done the black one, the ground already. And then I'm just going to be running it sort of over the tank and then connecting it or running it into this bigger line. This contains all 4 of the power or the hot lines are under the aux switches for other accessories. And it's just splitting off for the train horn here. I'm gonna then try and find a good chassis ground to connect this one to, this ground cable to, and then we'll be under the hood to connect it all up, and then we should be good to go. Okay guys, I've got the wiring all buttoned up back here. I didn't show it because, you know, one connection is pretty much the same as all the others. I've got red and black connected to my red and black sort of 12 gauge extension wiring. The loom kind of goes up and over the tank here, and that connects to, you'll see it comes in here. The red wire goes into this loom and forward. The black wire, I have to do it from here. The black wire comes out of this loom and then basically just goes from here straight to my ground. And for ground, I ended up finding a piece of steel that was welded to the frame as part of the Kelderman kit. It looks to be a factory harness relocation mount. I just sanded back some of the chassis black paint they put on there and made my ground connection there. I know this is a red heat shrink, but that is in fact a ground cable. I just ran out of the black heat shrink that fit. But that is ground. So next what we'll do is hop up to the front, way up there, and connect the hot sort of power wire to the aux switch. Okay guys, I'm up at the front now. Now, this red wire is the red wire you saw under the truck by the train horn that I was connecting the solenoid to. I ran this earlier, this is where the sleeve comes up. It was tucked down behind the firewall there. So it comes up here. I've got 4 different wires sort of stashed in here. One is for the train horn, one will be for auxiliary lights, one will be rock lights, and one will be underglow. I just figured I'd run the wires all at once underneath the truck rather than each time I'm going to do an accessory to run underneath the truck, because no one wants to do that. So if I can do it all at once and just keep them there, it'll save me some time later, and it's doing that right now. It's saving me some time. So I've already got the wire here. As far as the switch pro goes, switch 8 is the switch I have the horn on, and switch 8 is these 2 gray wires. All I had to do is connect them together and then put them in my little connector and heat shrink connector and connect it to this one. So that is connection made. I'll clean this up later once we've confirmed the whole thing works. So right now the only thing that's left to do is repressurize the tanks and level the truck out, because these tanks are empty. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the truck up and then check to see if there's any leaks on my fittings under the air tanks here. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so truck is back level, tanks filled. It is time to check. Now, if it doesn't work, I haven't tried this yet. If it doesn't work, I suspect it might be my ground connection. I might need to sandpaper away some more paint on the ground, but I'm only gonna do this a little bit really quick because I got neighbors and I don't want to piss them off. So let's see what happens. Oh, okay, I'm not doing that again. That is so loud. That's almost, it makes you jump even if you know it's happening. That is so loud. I can't even imagine how loud that is. I know it's not coming through on the camera, but oh, I don't want to do that again in the neighborhood. That is incredible. But I did in fact do that again. And for your viewing pleasure, here it is. So it works really, really well, and it's way too loud. I don't want to do that again unless I'm out in the field somewhere far away from my neighbors. But yeah, that worked really, really well. I have no idea how loud that was, but it made you jump even though I knew it was happening. So don't want to do that again. but you know, on the road, surrounded by traffic, it'll be a little bit less sort of jarring. But yeah, it'll definitely make whoever's needing to be honked at very aware. So that is the horn, and it worked very, very, very well. All right, guys, horn installed. I know I haven't done a whole lot of those test beeps for you. It is just too loud to do in my neighborhood. It's on the website, it says like 2 decibels less than the actual train horn, and I do not want to do this again in my neighborhood, just because I don't want to piss off my neighbors. But it is stupidly loud, and it works very, very well. So if you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and as always, stay tuned for more.